it's been a topic of discussion throughout my tenure doing this podcast because Guns N' Roses, I can't help it. It's not like I set out to do it. I'm
Right.
just a nerd where I grew up. They were my favorite band, and I
Yeah.
happened to be in radio. Then all of a sudden, all these sites picking up because everyone wants to say things bad about Axl or whatever it is. So if you don't mind, and I've told you before, all my listeners know I'm not that kind of guy, but I have genuine questions. Like here's probably one you've never been asked for, and it might be the dumbest one. Was there ever a thought where you would do roses and guns? Did he ever want his name first?
No, because the name of the band was originally an a 5 minute idea that we were gonna just keep recording together, and our label would be called Guns N' Rose.
Mm,
So that's the very origin of the name. So there's some memory loss with me because when Duff first joined the band, which was a couple months in after Ole Beich was the original bass player, he was Michael Rose for a minute, you know,
yeah.
and I can never remember if that's why we changed it to Guns N' Roses, or if just magically we were just like, oh, Guns N' Roses, that's a cool band name. I can't remember.
Okay, because there would be two roses at that
Right,
point. Gotcha.
right.
Mm,
Or
interesting.
maybe we did, and when Duff was Duff Rose, it kind of validated the idea.
Hmm.
I can't remember. It was a fucking long time ago, dude.
I know, and I'm sorry to do it to you again because this is just
All
too
right.
cool. The day that we're recording this, so March 24th, this is 2025. So
Right.
1985, 40 years ago today, Guns N' Roses give their first ever interview to KPFK in North Hollywood.
Wow.
It was released, thankfully, because of Raz Q, former guest,
Uh-huh.
friend of the show, former first LA Guns manager, I believe, and
Yeah, he
actually,
was.
yeah. So, according to Raz, Izzy set up the interview. Tracy's mom, your mom, taped it on cassette, and
Wow.
Duff had literally joined the band hours prior, but had to go home to sleep for his 9 to 5 job the next day.
Wow.
I don't know if you remember any of this. You guys played Think About early versions of Think About You, Anything Goes, and Don't Cry. Do you remember any of
So
that?
so we were playing live.
Yeah, at this radio station.
Oh, wow, wow. No, I don't
I don't
remember.
expect you to,
Just
but
another day in the life, but I'd love to hear it.
yeah. Well,
Not
you can listen online, and
okay.
if I yeah, because it's a long one. If fans want to listen, I have some of it on episode 50 where we interviewed Rob Gardner, but the whole
Okay.
thing lives online. I posted just the talk portion on my social media today, so I was just it just was interesting that happens to be the day I interviewed Tracii
Yeah.
Guns. So I didn't
Yeah.
expect you to remember anything of that.
What,
However,
what, aside from the music, were we talking? Were we saying anything?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
I
Izzy
got
was doing a
it.
lot of the talking, ironically.
It's funny for such a quiet guy.
Right.
So much of the stuff that we would talk about before and after rehearsal, um, he would be very vocal about the way we present ourselves. What influences do we mellow out on? What do we bring in? The cool factor of the band. Like Izzy was always very concerned about the cool factor. And how do we make our guitars sound different from one another? How do we make our guitars look different from one another? And so for a long time he played a black Les Paul, I played a cream Les Paul, all those kind of things.
Mm.
Those were all thought out. Those were all things. And Izzy, um, who wasn't in the band at first, I called him after we decided to do this and said, "Do you want to be in this band?" And he was like, "Yeah, I want to be in this band." So he comes in, and Izzy and I had already lived together for like a year and a half, 2 years at my mom's, well before we decided to do this. And so we spent so much time talking about, what's passe, but what's vintage cool, what's timeless and stuff like that. So it doesn't surprise me that in this very early interview that he would make sure that he was talking about the vision, like what we are. I got to hear this.
That's oh yeah, I'll send it to you. I probably back in the again remembering. I'm lucky. I remember what I had for breakfast. Did I even eat breakfast? Did I remember to eat breakfast? All of
Right.
those things. Uh, but just to rewind because I think I tagged you in it back in the day. But again, I really would love if you come back, I would love for you to give your your breakdown of all of
Okay,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But a couple things I want to hit on that you mentioned, just for historical reasons. You said you asked Izzy to be in the band. So who was Guns N' Roses first? Was it you, Axl, and Duff? Like who was it first?
No,
Like
no, no, no. So how it came to be was we played with LA Guns with Axl singing.
right,
We did a show opening for London, and somebody from London detuned all my guitars before we went on. And I'm not naming names, and Axl can name names if he wants. But Axl went lunatic. Once we finally got up there, he tore up a London poster. There's a picture of it.
mm,
And so our manager, your friend Raz Q, on the way home, fired Axl from LA Guns. Like, that's unprofessional. I can't deal with this. That was bullshit kind of a thing. And Axl and I are looking at each other in the car like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? So we get home and we were sitting on this couch. It's late, like 3 in the morning. And we were serious guys. We were funny guys, but we were serious guys. We were definitely serious about our music. And we had just recorded an EP that hadn't come out yet. So we're sitting there, and Axl goes, "Well, we can keep writing and recording because we know how to do it. We know how to do that now, And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, we could do that certainly." And I go, "We could call the label Guns N' Roses." And he goes, "Yeah, that's easy." You know what I mean? So that was Guns N' Roses. Like, that's how it started.
mm,
And I said, "Well, that's a great name for a band." He goes, I go, "We could just change the name of the band." He goes, "Yeah, fuck that. Let's just do that." And I'm like, "Okay." And I said, "I bet Izzy quits London tonight. I'm going to call him in the morning and see if he wants to be in the band."
mm,
And he goes, "All right." I called Izzy first thing in the morning. "You want to be in this new band?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so that was that. So the original band was, LA Guns.
right,
It was Rob Gardner
mm-hmm,
and Ole Beich and Izzy and me and Axl. And we started rehearsing right away. And then we did, I stuck around for, I don't know, 6, 8 months, something like that. And then first guy to go was Rob. He got an ultimatum from his girlfriend, Devin. It's me or the band. He dumped the band, and
made the wrong choice.
and then, and then she dumped him. It was like so stupid. Um, I can't even look him in the face to this day.
Oh,
And then Ole, he decided, I don't know what was going on with Ole. I named my son after him.
I want to talk about him specifically because yeah, you did name your son after him.
Yeah,
I don't get to talk about him enough. Please tell me what kind of guy he was.
he
I
was
just
he was Danish.
right. No, I mean I don't mean like that. Like I
No,
mean
no,
like the person.
but when I say that, I mean he was stoic. You know what I mean? And and
Okay.
and full of love inside, and full of insight and education, because people from Denmark are educated. They're
Mm,
musically educated, they're scholastically educated, they're healthy, and blah blah blah. So he came into my life and joined LA Guns originally, and he played with King Diamond or Merciful Fate, for a while before he came over. He was 10 years older than
mm,
me. He was a very much of a guiding kind of big brother figure for me, kind of navigating my early years, like pre 20 years old kind of thing. And we were into metal. You know what I mean? We were into metal, 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 metal. And although that we were huge Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin and Johnny Thunders fans and all that stuff, Ole and I, we met on metal. So, you know, when it turned into Guns N' Roses, he felt that we were, what's the word, kind of pushing metal aside,
okay.
and all of a sudden just decided that, like, well, I don't want anything to do with the glam thing or anything like that. And he didn't even tell me. He just didn't show up. He told Axl, which really hurt my feelings. Then I was like, what? And Izzy was very, consoling with me. He's like, don't worry, man. My neighbor, this guy, Mike McKagan, he's so cool, and he'll come right in. Don't worry.